everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Amber Turner is also in studio with me, and I am joined by my guest today, Mr. Cody Caudill. Cody, thank you so much for being here.
Hello, thank you guys. This is awesome.
It's very nice to have you here, and I was telling people at the top of the show that you are the first family member out of all my years in broadcasting that I've had on my show.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I definitely wanted to advertise that and just let it be known, like, you know, this isn't just out of the spare, out of the blue. We've actually been talking about this for a long time, so I'm glad we could actually get this going.
I know, and Cody and I are first cousins. So you know how a lot of people, Amber, they'll say, oh, well, I'm so-and-so, they're my cousin.
Yeah.
Cody's my real cousin.
As opposed to a fake cousin.
Okay. Second and third cousins are fake. I mean, come on now. But he is my first cousin. His mom and my mom are sisters.
Okay.
You know, that's how cousins work.
You know what? Now that you've told me, now I know.
So, Cody, I think that a lot of fans, or a lot of listeners, when they listen to this show and they hear this music, you call this music death metal?
Yes, correct.
So can you explain to our listeners who maybe don't really understand it, what is death metal?
So death metal, it could be categorized as a lot of different styles, but really it's just you have this spectrum of just metal, and so you'll have hard rock bands, you'll have easy rock bands, country bands, so on and so forth, who just have that overtone, just that heavy overtone. And I'd like to think that death metal is not only just heavy metal, but it's also that just one step lower, just intense, high pace, just energy. It's everything you can imagine out of a metal show, but I think it goes a couple steps further, if that makes sense. It's just, man, it's a crazy experience. You go to these shows, and even if you're not into it, which is a lot of our new fans, you just have the time of your life, whether you're in the mosh pit, whether you're, in the back just banging your head. It's an experience for sure, and we try to put a show every time we play for everyone that's new to us or someone who's known us or, just everybody.
Well, believe it or not, Cody, I have been to a mosh pit. I've been to a show. You might not know this, but do you know who Stevie Adams is? From Whitesburg, Steven Adams.
Yes, absolutely.
He does the mosh pits.
Yeah.
Did you know that him and I were roommates in college?
I did not know that.
At Morehead State,
For
yes.
sure.
We lived together for 2 years.
Absolutely.
At Manon Tower at Morehead State. So he took me to a whole bunch of those metal shows.
Man, that's crazy that you say that, because my very first show I ever went to was a show thrown by Steve. Man, we still talk to this day. That guy was... He was a real local legend down in Whitesburg. He had all the connections. He got all these bands, like people that I was listening up to when I was growing up.
Right, yeah, he did. He used to put together shows all the time.
We're at in Whitesburg.
Everywhere in Whitesburg. Where at in Whitesburg are these shows?
There were some spots. The tourism was just like a really good one. Small room, again, a lot of energy, and just it's like sardines in a can. Once you're in there and everything's going off, it's just a whirlwind of emotions.
I want to paint the picture for people what a mosh pit is. So when you go to these shows, like Cody said, it is a small room. It's not a big. Not a big venue. So about the size of the studio. About the size of the studio, and you've got people crammed in there, and they're throwing the punches and they're throwing their legs, and black eyes are happening. People's hair's getting pulled out.
Yep.
Have you ever got hurt at one of those?
Yeah. So just our last show, we had a really good time at the Shriners Club in Whitesburg. They were super nice to us, and they were able to give us a venue change last second. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and they just threw us a price, and we were there the next day, sat up, and did the thing. And sure enough, the crowd was really interactive, moshed all night, and sure enough, we were closing the night out. And once we got up there, it was just, like I've said before, a whirlwind of emotions. I seen everyone was going crazy, and it's like, just because we're on stage doesn't mean that we can't go just as crazy. So, sure enough, busted my head wide open on the microphone. Didn't realize I had literally split my head open until the front row crowd was just like looking at me like I was crazy. And so, yeah, for sure. I don't get hurt often, just, yeah.
Let's talk about your band.
For sure.
Portrait of Betrayal. Talk a little bit about that. How long have you guys been doing music? Talk about your band.
For sure. So we started at the end of 2019. That was when we all collectively just got together and thought, this is what we want to do, and these are the right people for the job. Like, we all collectively thought it was a good idea to travel down this endeavor, given the history with our past bands, how they just never worked out. So 2020, we began work on our demo, which is the song you were hearing at the beginning.
We Chose Sin.
Yes, and it is off of the demo, What Crawls Beneath, which will also be the title of our upcoming EP, which should be out, I think, next month with those two songs.
Interesting title, We Chose Sin. What's the deal with behind that title?
So at the time, Donald Trump was still president, and so just everything that America was going through at the time, it just seemed like whether you were on the left or the right, it just seemed like everyone was going down a more negative path. And when you looked at it from hindsight, it was just our world leaders who are entrusted with this power were just going crazy with it and just kind of flaunting it like it was, a social media hashtag or something, or, a picture on Instagram. And so, half of the country was siding with the man. And so I kind of looked at that, and whether you didn't side with him, you were still drawn to the negativity that it revolved around.
Right.
And so that was where the title came from. We chose sin, and although I'm not the most religious person, I still think that a lot of people can relate, religious or non-religious, to some of the things that was going on, in the last presidency.
So, are most of your songs original content, or because you do covers too?
Yes, absolutely. So we have two covers right now, which is "Clown" by Korn. A fan favorite, if anything. They go crazy for that. As old as the song is, people still get just as crazy for Korn. I know that goes without saying. You probably have seen it on social media, but and our other one is "Separate" by Knocked Loose, which is actually a Kentucky band up there in Oldham County.
So, that's absolutely that's amazing. So you're playing all the time in Whitesburg. Talk about some other shows you got coming up. That way, maybe some of our listeners want to get out and hear you live.
Absolutely. So tomorrow we are playing Al's Bar. And
here in Lexington?
Yes, right here in Lexington.
Okay.
I believe we'll be joined by Succumb to Demise.
Okay.
We will be joined by The Pine, some good buddies of ours down from Corbin, and a band called Breaker. I'm not familiar with the other bands, but once we got thrown onto the lineup, checked them all out, and super solid. All these dudes bring the ruckus for sure. So if anyone's interested, we'll be playing tomorrow at Al's Bar, so come on down and get crazy with us. That would be awesome.
That is awesome. Well, okay, I'm going to transition a little bit away from the band and your music. I want to talk about your tattoos.
Okay,
Let's talk about your tattoos. You got a lot of them.
For sure.
And do you have a number of how many you have?
Honestly, no. I passed 50 in high school, and once that, was obvious that I was getting covered, I just stopped counting. It was just like, this is now me and a way of life. And at this point, I don't need to keep track. It's just, I'll be covered eventually. And even after I get covered, I'll probably cover those tattoos with tattoos.
Right. He said he passed 50, Amber.
Oh, man.
He passed 50. So do people treat you differently? And when I say differently, that doesn't mean bad. Do some people maybe treat you better? Do people just treat you different because of your tattoos?
I guess it just depends on the person rather than it depending on my attitude. I do have a little trouble out of law enforcement. They kind of, point the eye at me a lot of the time. But really, all the local police officers in Whitesburg are good buddies of mine, and they actually come up to Summit City where I work and bartend. And so I have a good relationship with those said guys. But for sure, some people will tip me more because of how nice I am while bartending, and some people will not even cross the street or stay on the same side of the street with me. They will cross the road and stuff. But
and he's the most polite, kind person ever.
Sure.
Like, it cracks me up though, because when you see Cody, you see this tatted out dude who just looks like he's just going to be this just punk who's just rude to everybody. But it's a misconception. It's a misconception. He's a nice guy. So, Cody, what is the biggest misconception you think people have about death metal that you want to put to rest? Because a lot of people think, I don't know, those are just devil worshippers.
No doubt.
So what's the biggest misconception, and put it to rest?
Really, I guess, just like that, people assume we are the most negative, devil-worshipping, any religious worshipping type beings that just want to steal and kill. And really, it's just the same as a tattoo person. Some of the nicest people I know are tattooed, and some of the greatest people that I still call like my best friends to this day, I've met at death metal shows. And yeah, if you jump in the mosh pit, you could get a black eye, but at the end of the night, everyone is embracing you in open arms, and they just look forward to seeing you again at the next show. So yeah, I guess the biggest misconception is we're probably nicer than any other person you'll meet. And yeah, I'll go down to the grave with that statement for sure.
Well, tell everybody where we can get more information about you, the band, and where we can listen to your music.
Okay, for sure. So we do have a Bandcamp, and we do have a YouTube. We're currently working on getting our music on Apple and Spotify, but mishaps and setbacks. So we're currently working on our EP, which should be out next month. You'll be able to check that out on all the social medias. We have an Instagram, Facebook. I'm trying to think. The number that just goes on, but yeah, we're pretty well rounded. We have CDs, free demos. If you ever catch us around, cop one, and then we will have physical copies of our EP to sell at shows.
All right, there we go. I mean, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. I was waiting for you.
Well, I tell you what, man, that is awesome. Amber, is there anything you want to? I mean, it's not every day you get to bring in you get to sit beside of a family member of Adam Banks.
Okay, so there's a few things that are going to be said. Y'all look identical right in the eyes. Right in the eyes, y'all. This is a little bit trippy.
Absolutely.
I mean, we are first cousins.
Hey, you know what? You told us how that happened.
If you could see my brother, you would be shocked. We sound exactly the same over the phone, and sometimes I'm scared.
Well, now look, I'm seeing like these genes are running strong over here, y'all.
For sure.
Maybe I need to get a tattoo.
Maybe.
That's what I was going to ask. The only reason I don't have them is because I don't like the pain. You know how you said we bring the ruckus? No. I can't do the pain. Where's the least painful place? If I ever thought I'm going to get one, where should I put it?
I didn't feel a thing on the back of my shoulder, but I will say...
God, I felt like that would hurt.
I would say opposite. I've got the entire top of my head done, and I would say the very top of the head was just the worst experience of my life.
Oh
my goodness.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're gonna get one, I'd do your research for sure.
Okay.
And it's like you can't really back out once it starts either.
You can, but man, you'll live with that for sure. Every time I go in, no matter how bad it hurts, it's pain's temporary, and at the end of the day, you're home, relaxed. You've got the social media posted up, you're getting likes, and it's there for life. It's not just a social media post. You will carry that for the rest of your life.
All right. Well, that's great. Well, Cody, I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This was an incredible experience.
It was fun. Come back anytime. And we are going to end the show playing...
Before we end this,
sure,
I would like to make a quick announcement. We've been in the works with this with the Pine for probably about a year now, and we are finally at the point where we can announce this. Portrait of Betrayal will be doing a split EP as well, along with our original EP with the Pine. And I can't give it too much information on it, but should be later this year. You will see a lot more of Portrait in the Pine, maybe on a tour, maybe just playing more shows in Lex. But we've got a lot to cover and a lot to say, and now that we're finally getting to it, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, there you go. And Cody, good luck to you, your music endeavors, and your band. Get out to Owl's Bar tomorrow to watch the band. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Amber, for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps up another episode of Off the Cuff. You can check out all of our previous episodes by going to Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcast, wherever podcasts can be streamed. You can follow Amber on social media at Ambu447. You can follow me on social media at The Adam Banks. You can follow Off the Cuff on social media at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. Ladies and gentlemen, special thanks to Cody Caudill.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Amber, for always being here. That is Amber Turner. I'm Adam Banks, and this is Off the Cuff. We'll see you next Thursday from 4 to 5.